I was listening to a very interesting podcast by a guy named Ben Greenfield. Now, if you don't know who Ben Greenfield is, he's a personal trainer slash fitness guru slash self-proclaimed biohacker. So he has a weekly podcast where he has different guests on and they talk about all different health issues. And he had this guest on and they were talking about how in the morning your cortisol levels are at its peak. And when you introduce insulin by way of carbohydrates, it actually stops fat being used as a fuel source. So if your goal is fat loss, pretty much the worst thing you can do is have carbohydrates in the morning. Well, what do I have first thing in the morning before I work out? Oatmeal. It kind of opened my eyes and made me reevaluate the way that I'm doing things. The reality is, if you're having carbs the day before, your body is storing those carbs as glycogen in the muscles anyway. So even if you don't have carbohydrates in the morning, it's not like you're completely depleted of carbs unless you're doing a really low carb kind of diet. So what they recommended was actually, instead of having carbohydrates in the morning, to have fat, to do something like bulletproof coffee. So for the past week, instead of having oatmeal in the morning, I've been having bulletproof coffee. There's a lot of different recipes for this. It's basically you're blending fat with coffee. So you can use butter, coconut oil, but basically I kept it simple and I just used 2 tablespoons of coconut oil blended into hot coffee. I gotta say, I had this fear that not having carbohydrates in the morning was gonna make me feel depleted, because you gotta remember that I'm in the gym 2-3 hours every morning. And so things like intermittent fasting just don't work with my schedule, because for me to wake up and go 6 hours before having any calories is very difficult to do when I have to train at 6 in the morning and I'm at the gym for at least 2-3 hours every morning. Bulletproof coffee was a great alternative to fasting, because I'm not adding carbs or even protein, which do turn to glucose in the body and will result in an insulin spike. I have to say, for the past week of doing bulletproof coffee as part of my morning routine, I feel leaner. I actually lost 1 pound, but I didn't sacrifice any strength. My strength still was the same. It's been a positive experience. I think 1 week is not really enough to know whether or not it should stay as part of my routine, but I think I'll give it another few weeks. So anyways, let me know, guys, what your morning routine is like. Do you do carbohydrates in the morning, or have you experimented with things like intermittent fasting or bulletproof coffee? Again, for me, for my lifestyle, fasting doesn't really work for me, but if it works for you, let me know down below. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.